Hello, well we're here today to celebrate World Microbiome Day. But first I want to introduce you to John Leach, and this is Maria Walsh. We're here of course in Ballymaloe Cookery School in the middle of 100-acre organic farm and gardens. Now John asked me to do various dishes, well some for brunch actually, that could be, that would really enhance the health of our gut biome. You have some things up your sleeve too, Maria. You're going to do some fermented foods. And in the meantime, John is going to give us the science of it all. There we are. Good. So basically, the interesting thing is that both in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, they have forever and ever, they have realized and understood the link between our gut biome and our brain. And basically in Western medicine, this is a relatively new science, John, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really in the last 20 years or so.
20 years, yeah.
That we're starting to understand the role of the gut microbiome, or all the microbiomes, but we have a lot of focus on the gut microbiome and how that influences or interacts with our own health.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an emerging field.
Yes. And the scientists tell me that there's still, a lot has been discovered, but that there's still so much more too.
Yes.
And one way or the other, and a lot of this research has been done in UCC in Cork with Professor Cryan and also Professor Ted Dinan and lots of other researchers. But one way or the other, even though there's much more to be discovered as far as we understand, basically we certainly know that the health of our gut biome determines both our physical and our mental health, and it's all about diversity. Is that not right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this year, the 4th year of World Microbiome Day, which by the way was originally launched in Killarney, leading the way in research in this, launched in Killarney, and basically this year's theme is sustainability. So that adds a little bit more to it. Well, we couldn't be in a better place in the middle of a 100-acre organic farm and garden. So there we are. Well, I better get started on something. So, John, if it's all right with you, I'm going to start on broth.
Yeah.
And I know we thought we would do lots of brunchy things, but I thought broth is so important. That we, with all the collagen and everything, so good for our gut biome that I thought we had to start on that. Okay, so now broth really is a concentrated stock, and of course this stock is a flavoured broth, a flavoured liquid which can be made from meat bones, fish bones. It can be made from vegetables, it can be game, etc., etc. And I'm going to make a chicken stock here. Many of them are made in the same way. And again, as usual, the more variety you have in the pot, the more delicious it'll be. So what we want are, usually start off with some chicken carcasses. Now, as far as possible, try to find chemical-free or organic food if you can. So basically, we get our organic chickens from a lady called Mary Regan over in County Wexford, and we get the carcasses from her as well. So what we want, first and foremost, are some chicken carcasses. Now I have a little bit of a chicken carcass here, and you may not have one of these in your kitchen, but that's fine too. Chop it up as much as you can, because the more you chop it, the more flavour will be released. So first and foremost, we want of the chicken carcasses. Now the other thing that is really good are some of the giblets. Now the giblets are the neck, the heart, the gizzard. This one has this one had 2 hearts by the look of things. 1 gizzard and 2 necks. Actually, we're really cheating here too, Pat, aren't we? Because we haven't got a chicken neck, so these are 2 duck necks. Okay, but that's fine too. So we put those in. And the other thing, of course, we love to have, I'll take a little cloth if I could. The other thing we absolutely love to have are chicken feet. Because they have lots and lots of collagen, but they're not something you'd find in a supermarket. We've all got so squeamish nowadays that you wouldn't even find them in a supermarket. But basically, if you can get those, they have so much gelatin and collagen and everything in them. The other thing then, we want some basic aromatic vegetables. So they would be great big chunks of onion, there we are, and also some of the outside stalks of celery, some nice big chunks of carrots. These are our own carrots, our own onions from the grown down on the farm in the greenhouses. And so these, at the very basic, you want carrots and onions and celery. And at the time of the year when we have leeks, we put the green part of the leeks in, keep the white parts as a vegetable. You could put them into if you wanted to. And then just keep it, the roots are fine as well. You can just split it in half. Or look, just like that, keep it nice and big. And we'll cover this then with, we'll cover it with cold water.
Yes.
Now, a few peppercorns, no salt, okay? Because we don't want it to be too salty if we have to reduce it later for broth. So we'll put some cold water in here. Now, when you want to draw out flavour and goodness out of something, add in cold water. If you add hot water, it kind of seals in a lot of the flavour. Look, there we are, lots of lovely water. And this water comes from a well on the farm. So now let's take that out of the way, Pat.
I'll put this
Lovely.
in here and then I'll top it up with more.
Now, I also want, I'm going to have, oh my goodness, there's lots here. Some thyme would be lovely to put in, a few little sprigs of thyme. And oftentimes, that's some parsley. I don't put bay into a chicken stock or broth, but if it was a beef one or lamb, I would, may I have a wooden spoon there for a second, Maria? Thanks a million. I would add that in. And sometimes you can roast the bones a bit first, just to sort of caramelize them and get even more flavour. Now we'll put this on. Pat, I'll give that to you. And we'll bring it slowly up to the boil to draw out the flavour, and then we'll simmer it for at least 3 or 4 hours. And actually, then, in fact, you can, for broth, you can do it for longer. And sometimes people say, if you add a little vinegar in to the, coming towards the end, actually for the broth part, that actually, then you, if you add vinegar to the stock, helps release the collagen, get more iron, and more all sorts of things. That's fantastic. Good.
I like to put ginger and turmeric in as well.
The skins, particularly if you have if you peel it, keep it.
So just in case you didn't hear Maria there that time, she said she loves to put in, because you don't have a mic. We only have 2 mics, so that's fine. And but just in case you didn't hear that lovely bit of advice, Maria loves to put in turmeric and ginger. Extra delicious.
Yeah.
In fact, you could put peelings of ginger in at any time. Would be great. I'm just going to wash my hands now. Oh, yes, actually, Pat, that's a good thing. Just to remind me. Now, at home in your own kitchens, you might only have a chicken carcass every now and then. And by the way, to make stock or broth, you can use either raw carcasses or you can use cooked ones. If you have any questions, John, about cooking,
I have all the questions
you can
about
ask
cooking.
me. And if I have questions about science, I'll ask you. Okay, so there we are. This is a perfect arrangement. So, of course, at home, you may just occasionally have a chicken carcass. As I said, you could mix cooked and raw carcasses. But what's a good idea? Oh, this is a great box of things here now. Never mind, I'll just take the box. You could have a box in your freezer, for example, and throw in a carcass every now and then, or a couple of chicken thighs or something, and little peelings of vegetables and all of that. And then when the box is full, you can make a celebration pot of stock and broth.
So you don't, I'm new to this completely.
That's perfect, that's what I need. Yeah.
You don't use the meat at all when you're making the broth. It's just
You don't use what?
the meat part of the chicken. Do you like the breast? Or
Oh yeah, well generally, well you could of course. We have, occasionally, we have here on the farm, we have about 600, a flock of about 600 hens. And when they lay after 2 years, they go, and they're slaughtered, and then they come back to us again. And we use those whole old hens, we chop them up and we use those for broth and stock. Fantastic. But normally you would just use the bones,
Okay.
you know, and you'd eat the meat and enjoy all of that.
Yep.
And then the bones have so much more goodness in them. And so it's worth buying an organic chicken, because then you get double or triple value when you can make stock and, you know, use every single scrap. Isn't that right? Yeah. So anyway, you can have this box like this in your freezer, and then when it's full, you can make a celebration pot of stock, because it takes exactly the same time to make a tiny pot as it does to make a big pot. You might wonder what I'm doing with this bottle. Well, then when we've made the stock, we taste it, make sure it tastes good, and then just strain it and pour it. We then, when cool it and pour it, we just freeze it in these containers, recycled containers, and then they stack side by side in the freezer, and you could never have too much stock. And forever and ever, people have known the value of chicken broth, particularly already. I mean, what do they call it? Jewish penicillin, and there are all sorts of names for it. And of course, what's more soothing when you're, what's more soothing?
I would drink a cup every day as a breastfeeding mother. I find it really sustains me.
Yeah.
Like very fortifying.
So a cup when you're breastfeeding mother, but at any time, even if you weren't breastfeeding. And look at how well she's looking. There you are. That's the secret.
But it really is the difference between night and day if I don't drink it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it nice as it is?
You have a lot more energy.
Yeah.
We have to get you onto it, John. You've never drank it. What do you like? Oh my goodness, we all love it here. Now, also there's another thing actually which just reminds me here. So we bring this to boil, we cook it for 4 hours or more, then we strain it, and then you can drink it straight away if you want to. Add a little salt to it if you're going to drink it, or basically you could, as I said, cool it and freeze it. But we then now cover the bones and the vegetables again, maybe add in some more peelings or something if we have more in the meantime, because the scraps from the morning's cooking the students put into here at the Ballymena Cookery School, put into the stock pot bucket and goes into the stock every day. So there might be some more little peelings, we can add them in, and then we boil it up a second time, and that will be still very good but much weaker. Much weaker, but just if you're making it for a soup or something, so we get twice the value out of it. And so there you are. You see, this one says chicken first boil, and then we'd have chicken stock second boil. So basically, even though the gut microbiome may be something that many of you will not be thinking about very much in your everyday lives, it's something that really concerns all of us incredibly. It's incredibly important that we really focus in on this. And many of us nowadays in our busy lives, we know more about the lives of celebrities than we do about how our food is produced and what we feed to our the food that we feed to our family and ourselves is produced. And when you think of how much depends on dinner, it's something we need to be much more aware of. Pat, I'll just show this for a little second. So, of course, you can use the flavoured stock for soups and as a basis for stews and all that sort of thing. Or you can strain it and boil it down to concentrate it further in an uncovered saucepan. And then, if you like, you can just Pat has done some little, as we call it, julienne of carrot, radishes, and what's that, Pat?
Celery and little baby white turnips.
Oh, celery and baby white turnips and peas. Peas are incredibly good. Lots and lots of fibre. All the vegetables and fruit, very, very good to activate all those little microbes in your gut. Isn't that right? And Pat, you're going to we'll cook these off.
We have a little bit of chicken broth here that I made earlier.
Oh,
so
I see.
Pops them in there.
Yep,
bring it up
lovely.
to a simmer, and that will actually cook the veggies as it heats because they're cut so thinly they can no time. So
Okay.
you
So
can grate them as well if you want. You didn't want to.
lovely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to. Pat has some stock here, some strained stock. We'll pop that on the heat. Can I turn it right up? And then I'm going to add these in, bring it to the boil, and then they'll cook in the broth. And then you could serve that. It would be delicious. Serve it for your friends when they come round. And I'm also going to, I'll put the peas in a little tiny bit later. Yeah. Now these are our own peas. Actually, all of that has come from the farm and garden. So all of it is grown here on the farm. So it's carrying the antibodies of our area. Really, really important to eat as much fresh local food in season as you possibly can. The more biodiverse your diet, the more excitement in your gut biome. Is that not right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, maybe if I explain what the microbiome is first for people who don't know what it is.
Very good idea.
So they exist everywhere, on all over the planet. The oceans, the forests, the soil have very rich, diverse microbiomes. And what it is, it's the collection of microorganisms, mostly bacteria, fungus, and yeast. And these little microbes provide an awful lot of things for the particular environment they're in. So we're obviously very interested in the human microbiome, and that's the collection of microorganisms that live on or within us. All our different body parts have different ecosystems. One of the most important in terms of health is the gut microbiome. and that's home to about 90% of the bacteria and yeast and archaea that live in our system. They provide an awful lot of services for us. They digest our food, they stimulate our immune system, they regulate hormones. So we wouldn't be able to survive without them. And as you kind of touched on there, we want to keep that as diverse as possible. We can have up to 1,000 species in our gut, and what we have found so far, the research has been emerging for the last 20 years or so, and that diversity, so the more number of different species you have in your gut, the better that is for certain health outcomes. So yeah, one of the biggest factors that influence the microbiome and its diversity would be diet. So what we're finding is the more diverse, particularly in plant material, the fibres that are in plant materials, they actually feed, we call them prebiotics. So prebiotics are food for the bacteria that are already living inside us, and things like fibre are an excellent source of that and promote diversity within the gut.
Brilliant. And it's really interesting, John, I think I was telling you earlier that you know, microbes and bacteria are really misunderstood, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because I often ask the students who are here when we're doing food safety and food hygiene classes, and I ask, what does the word bacteria conjure up? Is it good? Is it bad? Microbes, are they good or are they bad? And now, because there's such a paranoia around, you know, food safety, food hygiene and all of that, generally most people would say bad. But actually, and sometimes people say, well, both, there's some good and some bad, and they're right, absolutely right. But over 90% of all the bacteria and microbes, and they're on everything, in the air, on our bodies, on the surfaces, in the soil, in the water, everywhere. And over 90% of them are actually really beneficial. In fact, we couldn't exist without them.
No.
John, isn't that it? So basically, a lot of the time we're very paranoid about bacteria, but we need to look on them as our friends, and we're totally dependent on them for our very existence. And now, look, they're the peas. I just want to show you lovely fresh pea. Just press it at the end like that, and there are the peas inside, and you just take them out like that. And actually, we can make a pea pod soup with those actually as well. So now, when that comes up to the boil, we'll take a nice little bowl, Pat. I'll taste it as well. I'll probably.
You might need to add a little bit of sea salt to your
I do. I need to. Yeah. We'll have that. So that's just coming up to the boil. So yogurt, a probiotic. What do we say about this now?
Yeah, well, there is fermented foods are often associated with being probiotic, but a probiotic, by the scientific definition, is any microorganism when consumed in sufficient quantities provides a health benefit. And in order to get that level of evidence, there's quite a lot of work that needs to go into each particular. It's not even species you could think of like as all dogs, but it's more the strain level, which would be more akin to like a particular breed of dog. So when it comes to probiotics, they really have to go through this scientific rigor, and they're usually expensive, big, large clinical trials before we accumulate enough evidence to say that this can provide a health benefit. But that's always dose dependent, condition like the health that you're looking at dependent, and also strain dependent. With fermented foods, because they change so often, even the ones I make at home, sauerkraut and even milk kefir with starter cultures, the microorganisms in them change quite often. So you don't actually know if it's the same strain you're getting.
Yeah, and I'm sure it totally depends on the quality of the milk too, doesn't it? That's why, in a way, we're so anxious to encourage people to make their own yogurt at home. And again here, I mean, we're very fortunate. This is the milk, our Jersey milk from our small little herd. It's that are milked down in the micro dairy where Maria is as well. And basically, see, so what we're looking for really is a beautiful natural yogurt. And yogurt varies in quality enormously, but something you make at home yourself is probably going to be almost the most delicious you can taste. First and foremost, we heat the milk up to
93 degrees.
93,
and a heavy set pot. It's important to have a good pot.
Yeah, really important to have a really heavy bottom saucepan because it's very easy to burn milk. So just bring it slowly up to the boil, up to 93. I'll hold it at that for a few minutes and then let it cool down until it's about 44. Isn't that right? 40. Yeah. I have 42 here, but that'll be okay. And into that then, may I have the, into that, I'm going to add some yogurt. Now what you need is, I'm going to hand you that, Maria. You need some live yogurt. yogurt. Now this is the yogurt that we make here on our farm anyway. So this is, and it's got a lovely creamy top on it because of the Jersey milk. But you could buy just a live yogurt in your supermarket and then stir in a couple of tablespoons of this.
Smells delicious.
Yeah, no, it's really, really, this is really, really good and so lovely. Look at how thick and beautiful that is. Now, actually, well done, Ria, because what we want is just want to make sure that I very gently, I put in, oh gosh, I put in much more than I normally need.
Okay.
Yeah, I put in 2 tablespoons rather than 2 to 3 teaspoons would really be plenty. And this yogurt, by the way, will keep for, I don't know what kind of shelf life we put on it, about a month or something, but it certainly keeps for 2-3 months. It's incredible. But it's made with our own beautiful Jersey milk and so on. Now, that's all I have to do. So now we're going to, what's very good is to warm a little, that's lovely. Warm a little flask. This is probably the easiest thing to do at home. And just pour the milk with the yogurt. My memory is that it doesn't all fit in.
I was just going to say, I think that's near 500 or 550 ml flask.
Yes, I think, well, that we can put that into a little bowl. That'll be fine. And then may I have the lid, if I could? So you just heat the flask first. Make sure it's as though you were, and then just pour in while it's still warm in there. Leave this overnight. Probably by tomorrow morning it'll already have set. And then, you could leave it for 2 or 3 days. When did you make one? Yesterday. You did. Okay.
The cream rises to the top.
Yes.
That also acts like a seal.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like
Give me a
often
spoon.
think you need to have like fancy yogurt machines. You really don't. Buy yourself a good flask.
I was just going to ask, so the heating at the start, that's just to pasteurize it, but you don't, it needs to be
Beautiful.
warm at first in order for the yogurt to be produced?
So the idea is you kill the bacteria,
Yeah.
cool it and add back the bacteria that you want.
And when you add in that
And then
bacteria,
you inoculate it again in the flask.
does it need to be warm when you inoculate it again with the...
Well, it's 43 degrees, 44 degrees.
Okay, but that's
and your
fine.
flask is preheated.
Okay.
And you have to, when you first do it, you have to make sure that it's 42, 43.
Yeah.
If it's too hot,
It'll kill off the yogurt bacillus. Yeah. And so that's really, really important. So in other words, we're killing off all the other bacteria so we can just inoculate it with the one we want. And look at that gorgeous cream there. And look how thick this is. It's now always actually be even thicker again after another day or two. And I'll give you a taste of this later on. Actually, we're gonna we'll serve that later. Do you want me to do it now, Pat, or not? We'll serve it later on.
It's nice to get into a cycle of watching your jar of yogurt, and when it goes down, and when it's just that much left in the jar, it's time to make your next batch.
And you use that then
to keep going and
yes.
going and going.
And always, a lot of the yogurt we buy in the shops is kind of whipped yogurt, so it's kind of sort of silky, gloopy. This is much, much thicker, and this is the way yogurt is actually traditionally supposed to be. And always they say in the Middle East and Turkey and Bulgaria and all of that, when you cut the yogurt, that basically the whey should run out of it. Otherwise, they reckon that's the healthiest yogurt, when the whey runs out of it. Breakfast cereals, of course, incredibly important. And we, again, porridge. We'll make porridge a little bit later on. Probably one of the very best things you could have for breakfast. And then if you want a sort of nut and grain cereal, this is a toasted one, and it's called granola, and there are lots. We have about 10 different recipes for it. But you start off with, I have a mixture. Thank you very much. I have a mixture of grains in here. I have some oat flakes, I have some barley flakes, wheat flakes, and rye flakes. So go along to your local health food shop or whatever and buy organic flakes if you can. So we mix all of these up together. Now, if you haven't got all of them, well, you can, just use 2 or 3. But the more variety, the more diversity, the better, isn't it, John?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here we have some honey and honey, and what else have you got in here?
We've grapeseed oil here doing it.
Grapeseed oil, yes. In fact, I sometimes use a light olive oil as well. I'm not very keen on a lot of the what they call vegetable oils or seed oils. Olive oil is my oil of choice for everything. And otherwise, if you want a light oil, we use grapeseed oil. So we'll put, and that's grapeseed oil now I'm saying. Now, there we go. I'll pop that. Now, just stir this round and make sure, keep on stirring it. I mean, it couldn't be simpler. Make sure you make this with the kids as well, so that they learn how to do all of these things. And they also, they'll realize the importance of healthy, wholesome food to fill them with energy and vitality. And then they can concentrate when they go to school as well. So look, just stir it around until all of those grains are actually coated with the honey and the oil. Now, thanks, Pat.
Between two baking trays.
In fact, you can also, there's another version we make where we use butter rather than...
Yeah, you could use butter as well, yeah, or ghee.
Or ghee. Yes, oh my goodness, ghee is another wonderful thing, which is a clarified butter. So I'm going to put, look, Pat, I'll give you that to spread out.
Swapping.
Yeah, this will do enough for 2 trays, so it actually makes enough for, it depends, for a family, maybe for a family for a week or something. Now this, do you know what that is, John? Come on!
You got me.
Oh, this is brilliant. I love it when somebody doesn't cook much and then we can start
I was just
from
looking,
scratch.
thinking I might have been capable of this.
No,
but
no. Oh, you certainly would. This is a thing called a spatula, okay? It's a very useful bit of kitchen equipment because you can clean out the bowls.
I've been found out.
And you have no waste, which is all about, remember, we're all about sustainability, aren't we? So we don't want any waste. And here at the school, actually, in a way, we sort of work really towards zero waste. And this is something we emphasize with the students all the time. As I said earlier, we have hens, so the scraps from the morning's cooking get fed to the hens. What doesn't go into the stock pot gets fed to the hens and comes back as eggs a few days later. So it's a lovely holistic system. And then there's no waste, which is really, actually, this is, even though I'm talking about it with sort of like almost like banter, it's incredibly important to us. So on every single demonstration every day, as well as the menu for the following day, there'll be a little leftover slot. So the students will be, if there was something left over from the lunch of that day, we'll teach the students how to make something delicious with those leftovers. So anyway, you'll have to come down sometime, John.
I'd love
there we
to.
are. Good.
Learn what more kitchen utensils are.
Now, later on, we're going to add all these goodies into it. So we're going to add a little wheat germ, which of course has lots of B vitamins and everything there. Really, really good. Again, fantastic for your gut biome. Hazelnuts, cashew nuts, all these nuts, almonds, etc. Really, really good as well. And then raisins. We have some dried apricots there and some dates. So we'll add all of that in at the end because otherwise the raisins would get really hard in the heat of the oven. So we're going to put that in for how long?
I'm going to give it about 6 or 7 minutes. We'll have it on a fan oven at 160 degrees. You can bake it at conventional at 180, but this works better on fan because you want to dry it out.
Dry it out and get it crunchy as well.
We need to bring the inside, outside to the inside.
Lovely. Now, I just need to get lots of these. And I need, did you put some salt in it, Pat?
I tasted it. I think I could do with a little bit of salt.
Well, I just need to get the carrot out of that there. That's lovely. So we can actually see it. Now, 1 second. Yep.
What do you usually have for breakfast?
Porridge. Yeah, I love porridge.
We do porridge in a minute now. Lovely. Look. And maybe a little chervil or something, or whatever. What's that? Chopped chives would be lovely. Now, do you know something? I normally wouldn't do this. I would normally taste it before I put it into the bowl. But anyway, I'll taste here. It needs a little bit of salt. So salt is really important. Really, really important to your health. So don't be worried about, there was a big fuss there a couple of years ago where we had to cut down salt. if you live on a diet of a lot of ultra-processed foods, there's a lot of hidden salt and sugar in those, so you may well need to cut down a bit on salt. But in general, don't cut down on the ordinary seasoning salt that you have in your dishes. They should taste delicious, but they're salt and salt. We're very fussy about salt and pepper, about the quality of it. Delicious, says me. Oh, so good. I'm going to give you some to taste in a minute now. And I'm just going to sprinkle a few little finely chopped chives on top of that there. I'll take a little ladle, if I may, and we'll put that into, put into a glass. I'm going to put, here we are. Just going to put a little, now, a ladle, thank you, and a glass. Now, just taste that again. Now, I'm just going to give you, it's a bit hot, John, now, so let it cool for a second, and then now, this is the most comforting thing. I haven't got lots and lots of bits in it.
So this is my first ever try of broth.
It's the first ever try of broth, but just watch you don't burn yourself now. Watch you don't burn yourself. But that, yeah, and with that then, of course...
Yeah, that's lovely.
It does sound so flippin' surprised. What do you like?
That's nice.
So with that, of course, it would be lovely. I'm just going to walk over here for a second, John, to have some again for your healthy gut. Nothing like a natural sourdough. So this is actually made here in the bread shed. It's a completely natural sourdough. In this bread, there's flour, there's water, salt, and there's just the sourdough starter, which is, and thyme, that's the only thing. And then this is Jersey butter. Are you not impressed?
No.
From our cows, look. Wait till I show you the colour of this now. Kerrygold, eat your heart out, look.
I thought it was a big cheese string.
I thought it was a cheese string! A cheese string! My God! There we are. Look at the colour of that butter. This is the Jersey butter. You might well have made this, actually. We also show the students here at school how to make butter every single day from the cream of our Jersey milk. And, of course, it's beautiful at the moment because... it's beautiful all year round, but it's even more yellow at the moment, partly because it's Jersey, which is the lovely rich milk, but also because the cows, of course, are on the very best pasture of the entire year. So I'll put that, look, I'll move that aside for the moment. We're going to do shakshuka next. So this is a wonderful, proper brunch dish, really. And it's Middle Eastern. There are lots of different versions of this as well too. You can either make it in little individual earthenware dishes or in a big earthenware dish and then just tuck into it. So start off, we'll put up all these recipes, won't we, John? Yeah, so first and foremost, we put some caraway seeds into this. Caraway, or it could be cumin either. So you toast the caraway seeds, dry toast them, and then add a little, put some extra virgin olive oil. Let me bring this on. Look, I put that here, look. You're not drinking up your broth. You're keeping an eye on them, aren't you? So caraway seeds, spices, so good for you as well. And by the way, spices are also, apart from the antioxidant, they're also antibacterial. So if you have spices in your food, not only do they flavour it, but also, of course, any food that has spices in it keeps for much longer. They preserve it as well. But here we have, it's going to flavour and preserve. Okay, but it won't be around long enough to have to preserve it. So now we have the caraway seeds in there, and into that then we add sliced red pepper, then also some onion as well, a medium onion, just sliced, Pat. And have you got the chilli in there yet? Not yet. You see there? So put that on, just cook it on a low heat until they get soft. A little chilli, we need a little chilli to liven up our lives. So add the pepper and the onion, cook until it's sort of nice and tender. Is the heat on underneath that? It is, that's good. And then add the chili flakes. There's some chili flakes there. Now, you could add less or more depending on how hot you like it. Then we also have some cumin here, which we've dry roasted. Let's do that while I'm waiting, Pat.
Perfect, no problem. They're our own chilies as well, Rina, so they're our own chilies from last year that we dried, ground up, but they are quite punchy, just so.
Serious one-upmanship here, our own chilies as well, there we are. So good. So now, every spice, and we don't grow spices on whatever about the chilies, we don't really grow spices here on the farm. Many of them, of course, come from India and from Asia and so on. Although, in fact, we do have dry our own coriander, which are the seeds of the fresh coriander plant, which is really lovely. But every spice has up to 5 different flavors, depending on how you use it. Whether you use it whole or ground, whether you toast it first or roast it, or whether you grind it, whether you add it in the beginning and the end, or indeed also you could flavor oil with the spices, and that's called the Indian Tarka method. So there you are. So the spices are fantastic. They're really, it adds so many different things to a dish, and you can have the flavors of the East, the Far East, whatever you like. Now, so here I have some cumin, and I've just put it on a dry pan. Is this the right amount, Pat, is it?
You have the correct amount measured.
Oh, out here, yes. But just going to show you how to dry roast it and then grind it. This is a pestle and mortar. It's actually a Mexican one. You can get them over here. It's called a molcajete. And look, this is lava rock, so it's really easy to grind something in it. The very smooth ones are no good, really. They drive you mad. So just have a look. Leave it on the heat and shake it a bit, just until it darkens a little bit. And then you begin to get the aroma now. Keep an eye on that now, Maria, and don't let me burn it, okay? There we are. Now we'll add this in. And just grind it then. And you see, when it's also, do you now smell it? Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, the difference a little bit of roasting does. So you just grind it like that, and you have it, let it be. You can get it very smooth, or you can actually keep it a little coarser. But Pat has the rest for me here. So now I'm going to add in the cumin, the paprika, and some chili flakes. Okay, so there they are there. And we'll add those in, stir it around. So this is quite the perky breakfast. So I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to me here. Ah, gorgeous. And we'll also have eggs with this. Now, the other thing then I want is some nice ripe tomato. These are little cherry tomatoes. We've chopped those up.
Cherries actually as well. Showing off.
Such showing off, my God! Such showing off. Of course, it's a wonderful time of the year. Here in June, coming towards the end of June, the greenhouses and the gardens are just full of lovely vegetables. There's hardly enough meals to actually, eat them all. And we also, of course, have them in our little farm shop here, and they go to the farmers' markets as well. So lots of people can enjoy them. And the students, of course, have fantastic produce to cook with. So now we'll get you started. So next I'm going to add in, you see how lovely that is? I hope you can see right into the saucepan there now. And next I'm going to toss in the tomatoes, the fresh tomatoes. And these are tinned tomatoes and their juice, which are chopped up as well. So I'll take a spatula again there now.
Just there, really, to your right.
Oh, right beside me. Get all of this in. So again, what did we say? It depends on what you read and things, I suppose. But do I understand, John, that there's between 1 and 2 kilos of bacteria in our gut?
Yeah, I think it's approximately 2 kilos.
2 kilos of bacteria.
Roughly an equal number of microbial cells as human cells in our body.
Oh, and all those 100 times more genes, I think, as well, isn't there, in those microbes than in our own genes. Anyway, basically.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second just to show this, because it's starting to toast at the edges.
Yeah, bring it in here.
So what we're going to do now is toss the outside in and mix it around so it gets all. This is what we're aiming for at the end. You probably can't see that, but you will later.
Yeah. So it browns more at the edges than in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to bring the edges into the middle a couple of times.
And do that a few times. It generally takes about 35 to 40 minutes to do 2 trays of it.
and we'll spread it out nice and evenly. Yeah.
It smells really good.
Yeah. This is so good. It's so good.
Brilliant for a present as well. It's an edible gift. So.
Yeah. Or you could set up a stall at a farmer's market.
You could.
Go into
I
business.
just think this recipe could be John-proof.
Good. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll go back.
That's good.
And I'll do the same with
Great. So we'll bring this back up to the boil again now, and then so we just cook this. Oh yeah, the other thing, I need to add salt, of course, and I'm using some flaky sea salt with some lovely Irish sea salts as well. Some pepper. Maria, can you do a bit of pepper in there for me? And then I'm also going to add in some sugar, Pat, if you have it there.
Yes,
please. Season it up nicely. And because I'm using tinned tomatoes, it's always good to put a little bit of sugar in. Or, for that matter, I could add in some honey, in fact, either. Look, there's the pepper.
Sugar.
Is it really sugar or is it salt? Yeah. Yep, lovely. They look so alike sometimes. Now, so add a little sugar in, so I'll bring that up to the boil. So salt, pepper and sugar, they balance each other. We'll bring this up to the boil and we'll cook that for about, season with salt, pepper, and then we'll reduce it until it thickens a good bit. That could take 10-15 minutes to cook. And then what I'm going to do is I'll transfer it to an earthenware dish and I'll crack in some eggs into it. And then we'll pop it into the oven and continue to cook it. The oven, we'll heat the oven to 200, continue to cook it in the oven so the eggs set and cook in the middle of it. In fact, the other thing one could do, in fact, I was about to if you had some, for example, a little chard, or if you had some spinach or something, you could chop up some spinach and add it into it as well, and that would add more and more nutrients and more fiber. Again, very good thing. So, as we keep saying, the more variety of the foods.
Do you want me to chop something?
Yeah, well, if we'll just give me a little, yeah. Now, wait now until I just say this. We'll put the stalks in as well, Pat. Yeah, because the stalks are good. This is coming to the end of this crop now. So if you want to take the stalks out, just fold it over until it's good side like that, and then just pull out the stalk like that. But if they were big stalks, we always use the stalks of spinach. Now, here back to our sustainability. When we grow spinach, there are two different vegetables in spinach. There are the stalks and there are the leaves. And we chop up the stalks and sometimes we cook them separately for just a couple of minutes in boiling salted water. Then when it's tender, drizzle with a little extra virgin olive oil. You could put herbs, you could put chili flakes, etc. And then we cook the leaves separately as well. So I'm going to add those, if you have those, Pat, and I'm just going to put this in here. But you could leave them out if you don't have spinach. Oh, my basket's coming apart, never mind. There we are, you can see, again, these are our own eggs. You have to move down here, John. And we have the cutest little chickens in the hen house at the moment. Anyway, there we go. So these are all different. Oh, you liked it?
It's delicious, yeah.
Good. There we are. You're looking much better already.
It's quick.
There we go. Absolutely. You were looking great anyway. Now, so I'm going to let that bubble away there for the moment. And then when we let it cook down, so we cook off the rawish flavour of the tomatoes. And then, as I said, we'll plop some eggs in and into the oven. Porridge, of course, is oats. Comes from oats, and it's in many different incarnations. Earlier on there, with the granola, we had the flaked oats, where the oat grain was flattened out, and so it's called flaked oats, or porridge oats, or oatmeal, or sometimes called Quaker oats, depending on what part of the country, part of the world you come from. Now, so I have several different oatmeals here. This is one comes from the Merry Mill. It's an organic oats, a beautiful one that comes from County Laois, my own home county. Beautiful, beautiful porridge oats. This one comes from Kilbeggan, up in County, isn't it, Westmeath, the Lawler family up there. This is also wonderful organic porridge oats. What we don't have actually is flavins. Their wonderful family farm over in County Waterford, which we do have. It's in the thing there, but I haven't got it in front of me. They also do an organic oats as well. But this one, the one I'm using is Macroom oatmeal. This comes from a one-man miller over in Macroom in County Cork as well. Donal Creedon, and he's a great hero of mine, Donal is. This is a wonderful porridge. He toasts the oats first and then grinds it, and it's what we've used at Ballymaloe, the porridge we've used at Ballymaloe and here at the school for breakfast every morning forever and ever. My mother-in-law, Myrtle Allen, was a great fan of this too. So now, what we've done here, in this saucepan we have the 6 cups or 1.4 litres of water. We've just brought it to the boil, and then just sprinkle in, I'm going to move this out of the way, sprinkle in the porridge oats. Now don't shoot it all in together, it'll go all lumpy. So you can just literally with a little, either with a wooden spoon or with a little whisk like this, whisk it in so that it doesn't get lumpy, okay? Now you can make this the night before. When you're rushing off to work, you're watching now, is how you make porridge? You just wanted a free cooking class, that was it. And I wanted a free science class, so this works very good. We both win, we do. So there we are. Now whisk that round, no salt yet, okay? So we just bring this back up to the boil and we simmer it for about 15 to 20 minutes. But what you could do if you wanted to is you could make 2 or 3 times this, and you could cook it the night before or whatever, and then you could or make enough for a week, and you could just take out a bit in the morning, heat it up, and with a little milk or some water, and you then have the porridge, and then keep the rest in the fridge for the rest of the week.
Lovely.
And fantastic.
Is there a difference between, that's really powdery, like the oats I'm used to would be kind of the flakes, I think more similar?
The flakes, exactly. Now, oh look, let me show. Now, it depends on, it all starts with the oats, okay. Now, then it depends on how they decide to mill it. Here we have, these are the flakes. Look, there we are.
That's what I use, yeah.
That's or rolled oats, they're sometimes called for exactly that reason. Yeah, here we go. Now, and then that's similar. Now, Donal Cregan, he actually, what he does is he grinds it. This was stone milled originally. So this is the texture of stone milled, like that. And they're really, really good. It actually was a water mill originally, it's still stone milled. And then here we have what we call, sometimes in America they call this steel cut oats. It's like just chopped oats, look, like that. Now, of all of these, this one is the least processed and probably the most nutritious. And then this one here is and actually if you're going to make that, Pat has already got it ready for me here, you would generally soak this overnight. Do you see? I've soaked it in water with cold water.
Cold water, it's 8 fluid ounces of cold water. I think it's, my memory is right, it's 350 grams or 12 ounces of pinhead oatmeal soaked in 8 fluid ounces, and then we put it back into a saucepan and cook it with fresh cold water again.
Yeah. So we'll add more water. This was soaking overnight, and then we'll add more water to it. And this is absolutely fantastic. It's kind of, there's sort of little bubbly, it's sort of more texture in it. But this is also gorgeous. Now, so that's porridge. And a funny thing, there's a wonderful American food writer called Michael Pollan who has written many books, really interesting books on food. But he has a little book called Food Rules, but lots of little catchy one-liners. But one of the things he says that I often tell the students is, remember when you go to shop, don't put anything in your basket that your grandmother wouldn't recognize as food, or your great-grandmother. Now start at breakfast. What's the only thing they'd recognize as food? Porridge. Because they probably, well certainly your grandmother wouldn't have known any of those packets and all the Twiddles and Bows and Smarties on top, and a lot of those super sweet cereals that should be really much better off without. And in the end, porridge is the original, and porridge is probably the most nutritious of all of them in the end. And so all the little, I'll give you that, Pat, to put on. So I often have a sort of image, John, and you can correct me. All this incredible biodiversity in our gut, these sort of trillions of little bacteria and so on, and they're all looking out for something that they really would like.
Yeah.
And I often think when we start to eat, Just there, I always have an image of them looking up and thinking, I wonder will there be anything for me this time? Is there something for me? And you know, a lot of people nowadays live on a very few foods, actually, a very samey diet. And so basically only the same microbes are being fed all the time, and there's not enough diversity. And actually they've all kinds of research is coming up on you know, students and many people, more and more people nowadays are suffering from anxiety and chronic anxiety, and this too is being linked back to the health of your gut biome. And basically, so again, the research that was done a number of years ago actually was done on students who very often have the extra complication of being on a very tight budget. So, you know, it might be pot noodles and, you know, a few things like that, but porridge is not expensive.
No.
So that could certainly be something, and then you can pile all sorts of things on top. We'll probably put some of that lovely cream and or your fermented cream, Maria, and maybe honey or a dark brown sugar, but you could pile all kinds of other things on top of it. So we're going to cook that for, I'll to turn it down now, and we'll cook it for about maybe 20 minutes or so?
20-25 minutes.
20-25 minutes. Lovely. Can I put that onto a smaller...
Perfect. I'm going to swap these
Yeah.
over. So we'll go back to Shanshuka now.
Yes, I'm going to transfer that porridge now over onto a smaller jet. We let it bubble away nice and slowly. Inside my own kitchen I've got an ancient aga, so it will cook on the slower burner there. Now, I'm just going to...
You want to go back to Shanshuka and just put the stalks
can
in
you
first?
slice that for me, Pat?
Do you want to put the stalks in first?
Now, Toby, can you see right into the pot here? You can. Lovely. So now you can see that this lovely tomatoey, peppery chili sauce is reduced down a bit. Yeah. So now I'm going to put there the stalks of the spinach.
Okay.
This is not in the recipe, okay, but we can add it in because we want to be maximum nutrients here. So I'm adding in the stalks of the spinach, they'll cook there. We'll also add in look, this looks like loads of spinach, but basically you'll see it will
really good down.
yeah, it just sort of reduces down to very, very little. So I'll pop that in, cook it around for a minute or two. Oh, I'm hungry. Yummy. Now, do you think you'd have a go at this, John?
Very good, it looks delicious.
Yeah, and it's got all those different ingredients in it, which is so important. Now, there we go. So now, so that at this stage now, back to the shakshuka, Pat, and the eggs.
Yeah, so I have these eggs here.
I want to taste. Very important to taste when you're cooking.
Delicious.
So good. Look, there we are. Now it's a little bit hot. John, are you okay for a little bit hot?
I like spicy food.
Okay, there you are. It's only just a little bit, just to taste. So, yeah, but that's the base. We'll have eggs on top of that now. Won't you love it? There we go. Now, so may I have a spatula? So generally, or a ladle. No, a ladle would be good. So I'm going to use these eggs here, and sorry, Pat, they're all the same, but I just want to, So and now I'm going to spoon. I have an earthenware dish, and I'm going to spoon or ladle it in here. Actually, this is, well, I don't know why I normally have it. This is fine, it's an oval one. I love these earthenware dishes. Now look, you could do a little individual one if you wanted as well.
Or you could just do one pot wonder green and serve it in your dish.
Oh yeah, you could, exactly. If you didn't want to make any more washing up, you could just, in fact, in my one pot feeds all book, that's right, forgot that. Now may I have, this is just made in one dish, so I could have just cracked the eggs in there. May I have a spatula, please?
I'll pop them.
Yeah, we'll pop the rest in there. Again, this is really important to actually really concentrate on getting the last out of the saucepan, and so that there's no waste. And this we're all the time harping back to this year to the theme of microbiome, extra theme of microbiome on sustainability. So look, I'm going to, in case I have too much here, I'm going to put a little bit extra in there. And what we're going to do now, make a little little dint in the middle, and I'll put in crack in a little egg. Now, there we go. We'll crack this in, and then we're going to we're going to put this into the oven.
We're baking it together that one easy for maybe 15 minutes, just until
take
the
a
whites
plate or
are
something
set
for
and the yolks is still nice and soft, or depending on how you like your eggs.
Yeah.
It is nicer.
And then we'll sprinkle on some feta cheese as well. A little crumbly feta cheese on it would be just delicious. So this is the sort of brunchy, lunchy dish. And this, when one could travel, I love, I love many places, but particularly love India. And I bought this particular dish, I bought in a little market in Maheshwar in India, and brought it all the way back in my suitcase. There we are. I love it because it's handmade, and I love these sort of utilitarian little pottery dishes. So a little pepper, and we put a little salt as well. Now, Pat, can we put this into the oven? Yes. And we'll cook these. When it comes out, then I want to just give a wipe to the edge here. Look, there we are. Good. Because if it slashes at the edge, it sort of cooks onto the edge. Now we'll pop this into the oven. I love the spinach in it, actually. It's really nice, yeah. And again, always adding extra nutrients. But doesn't matter what, it's so important that it, after all your hard work, that it tastes delicious. So you can be the judge, you see. There we are. Now what?
Back to granola very quickly.
Yes,
just show you what's happening here. I think we're done. Actually, we're not far off. Maybe 2 more minutes. But
Bring it out for a second. I just show you. So I like it to get really good and crunchy. You know.
So I've tossed it around about 4 times now, and that's just the last time. So.
Because also, if it's not dark enough, it won't really get crunchy.
Yeah.
Now, if you want it to be, actually, we better not get too complicated, but basically, sometimes people like granola with kind of lumpy bits in it. Yeah. And so what you do with that is you'd whip up an egg white, just a little bit, break up an egg white, and fold it through it earlier on, and then it goes in lumps. Gets into clumpy bits, which is really, really lovely too. Okay?
And a good way to get your egg whites.
And a very good way of egg whites, and adding extra nutrients again. Yeah. Extra nutrients again.
One of the oldest forms of food preservation, I think it dates back about 9,000 years. And initially it was just a way to save food outside of the growing season so that a lot of food didn't go to waste. But even 4,500 years ago, the Egyptians, they're big beer drinkers, they used to produce beer because it was safer than drinking
water.
Some of their local water. It was a good source of protein and many other vitamins as well. Fermented foods, because the microbiome and gut health has emerged recently, is very important for human health. Fermented foods may offer a solution to kind of exposing us to millions or billions even of microbes on a daily basis. As I said, with sanitizing everything and cleaning our food, pasteurizing our food, we're not exposed so much to the microbes. It's a good thing in one sense, we're not as vulnerable to infectious diseases, but the downside is now it seems to be associated with all these chronic diseases. Yeah. So we're looking into these foods.
Brilliant. Well, here you have the fermentation queen from the Ballymaloe Cookery School Fermentation Hub. Isn't that right? Yeah, good. So you go in there, and I'm going to hold this close to you here. Yeah. So pretend we know nothing, Maria. What are you making?
You're all into fermented foods already. If you've had coffee today, if you ate chocolate, if you drank a beer at the weekend, we're all pretty much into fermented foods, but they're not labelled fermented. And like at Ballymaloe Cookery School, we have a fermentation shed set up by Penny, and we teach each student how to ferment. And it really is life-changing because we're using up little bits, I don't want to call them scraps, but little bits, say you had half a pear or some carrot peelings. Fermentation is alchemy because you can turn that into another product. And it really is especially we're talking about students being on a budget. The nutrients of a cabbage, when you ferment it, the bioavailability of the nutrients is increased threefold.
Some new ones are even added.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, and this is our own cabbage.
Oh, this is getting a bit tiresome.
Yeah.
And our own carrots.
Our own carrots.
And our own carrots,
okay. So you're making sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut,
and,
yeah.
And that's a very good gateway into fermenting, isn't it? Fermenting is basically a way, as you said, of preserving food forever and ever. People didn't throw stuff out, that's for sure.
Yeah. The gateway ferment would really be water kefir, and we'll do that in a minute.
Right,
but
okay.
this one is a little bit more challenging for people because sauerkraut has a unique smell and a unique taste.
Yeah.
But
You could say an acquired taste to
Yes.
start off with. Yeah.
So-
do you have to remember how good it is for you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like at the start, you're nearly scared of it. But after a few times eating it, you'll actually start craving it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes now when I'm making it even, I find I have more saliva. You know, it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like teaching people how to use your sauerkraut, you know, have a little bit like with a sausage, you know, have some in a toasted cheese sandwich.
But we're not talking about a ladleful or a tablespoon. You're talking about a teaspoonful or something.
Just to get yourself, you know, to work it into your diet, put it in like a savoury pancake.
It's delicious bit of toasted cheese sandwich.
You know, there's so many ways. I love to blitz it with butter and put it on my vegetables. And like, I had a bottle of the juice there as well. This is really important to keep. So when I say juice, I mean the brine, basically.
Yes.
So this liquid that's inside here, this is like liquid gold, and you should keep this in your fridge because one, you can start other ferments. You can add it into like carrot juice, apple juice, you know, jazz it up.
That's quite briny, isn't it? I've tried it before. It's
I love this. I would have shot every day now, so I take my notice.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah. But
You
fermentation
two
is
could
a
have curly
journey.
hair if you had this every day. Now,
Malt
okay, so
and
what do we
salt,
do?
actually.
So use mold and salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take some more mold and salt as well, please. And
So it's 3
well, maybe we
teaspoons.
have enough. So Maria, you slice. Does it matter how thinly
I
you
would shred
slice
it.
You shred it
Yeah.
even thinner than that.
No, this is fine, but
that
like you're
lovely?
trying to get
Yeah.
a good surface area, basically.
Yeah. And could you
So-
just grate the carrot on a coarse grater?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, okay.
And really, your imagination is the limit. You can put fennel seeds, rose petals, you know, dandelion roots,
What other
dandelion
vegetables?
greens, everything, turnip, celeriac, you know, red cabbage, beetroot. Really, your imagination is the limit. And
So basically, this is the important bit now, adding the salt into it.
Yeah.
So in other words, you can do a lovely mixture, but this is essential, the salt. Okay,
so
so
we
talk me
sprinkle
through
the
this.
salt on, and we're basically massaging the cabbage. Now, when I do this at home, I would put the salt on, and maybe I would go wash the dishes or start the supper.
Or feed the baby.
Exactly, yeah, and give it time to sweat. Basically, the cabbage sweats. So it's a lactic acid ferment, and what we want is enough juice to cover the cabbage. That is our safeguard. That is our, you know, the motto is under the brine, everything is fine.
Ah,
You
we
know,
like it. We
that's-
love one-liners. Yeah,
you know, that's
good.
really
Yeah.
the mantra,
So basically,
and it happens quite quickly, especially.
the salt is obviously inhibiting the growth of bacteria. It's also drawing out the moisture
Yeah.
from the cabbage. It's
You can
already
see it's starting
beginning
to
to
sweat.
look.
Yeah.
And like this cabbage was only picked an hour ago, so like it's, you know what I mean. It's gonna
There we go.
just one more go.
Lovely.
My hands are conditioned to doing this. Like if you find it hard, you can actually kind of stomp it with
How
like.
do you mean stomp it?
You know, if you had like a piece of.
Oh yeah, but not.
You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
like It's not,
Yeah, so
you know,
a couple of years ago, when we
Like a
had
masher,
grapes,
you
we
know.
actually got the students we're making some wine, and the student, actually that's fermented, wine is fermented.
Yep.
Yep. The students actually, trod on the grapes to crush the grapes. And, but that's not what you mean. You mean squeezing it like this.
yeah.
Yeah. Now I can see, yeah, good.
You can see it's sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
And as I said, like you really can add, you know, what do you have in your spice rack? What vegetables do you have?
But usually people would start off with cabbage and
Yeah.
carrots or something.
Yeah.
And of course this is sauerkraut, I suppose, originated in Germany and Austria and those countries, didn't it? But there must be versions of it all over Asia and stuff as well. they're different. And actually, it's interesting. Basically, nowadays, you know, a lot of food, particularly obviously processed food, carries a little label with a sell-by date or best before date. So actually, we've become more and more paranoid about our food and about food safety and or food hygiene and everything. And basically, when I was a child, I'm over 70 now. I mean, there was no such thing as sell-by dates or best before dates. But what we did is we looked at the food, we smelled the food, we tasted the food, and we decided whether it was safe to eat or not, so we could judge with our senses. Now, this is a really important, forgotten skill to relearn. Because if you just depend on sell-by dates and best before dates, they're always, for a start, they're always conservative. And a lot of the times people just look at them and then throw out the food, so you have an incredible amount of food waste as a result. And so I always used to joke with the students and say, you know, look at it, taste it, smell it, taste it, but if you can actually hear it, it's time to throw it out. But actually, I can no longer say that because, of course, in the process of fermentation, the food all bubbles, as carbon dioxide, the food bubbles and everything as well. And there's never ever been a recorded case of somebody being ill from fermented foods. And this is something to really learn how to do. Maria does so many different types of ferments and pickles and all kinds of cures and kvases and all that sort of thing. And basically, it's something you can do at home in your own kitchen. And it's you'll have much more in the way of nutrients in it than in a commercial one. Am I right in saying that? John?
With a commercial fermented food?
Yes, or you know, when you make something like this at home, I suppose you can't say it's always more complex, but it could often be more complex.
Well, that's one of the other sides of the possible health benefits of fermented foods is the nutrients that the microbes add to the food that weren't there in the first place. So even if they're not in themselves having a probiotic effect, they're nutritionally enriching the food, so you're getting a lot of B vitamins, vitamins A.
So you're enhancing not the fertility of this, sorry, maybe you are, but you're enhancing the nutritional value of this by, do we have an idea how much? No, a lot. A lot. Okay.
But the beauty is I'm putting my microbes into it while I'm making it, which is, you know.
So can you see it? It's really, okay. Do you want to put it in here?
See that, John?
Yeah.
Clean.
There's a juice there.
Good.
So we're going to pack it into the jar and then we're going to put a weight down. So really, you really want to push everything right down. Now, when you're making this at home, I always tell people, keep your ferments somewhere where you're going to see them, where you're going to walk by, because it's an interactive practice. So when you first make it, there'll be a little bit of liquid. After a few days, it goes right up. After about 8-9 days, the liquid starts going back down.
Happened to me,
and then you're like, oh, maybe it's nearly done, you know. And what I say to people as well, if you're new to sauerkraut, it might be a really good option to like make a jar like this, but get yourself a few jars like that, decant into it, and then keep a jar like this on your kitchen table and keep this jar away, because you don't want to keep bringing oxygen into this jar. You know, you could dry it out.
So Maria, this doesn't need to be refrigerated.
No, definitely not.
And you see, people are kind of having mania about refrigerating everything at the moment.
The fridge is a fermentation slowing device. You know?
Oh, it slows it down. Oh, that's really good to know. And so basically, of course,
if you're going on holidays,
these ways of preserving were long before electricity and before fermentation was commonplace. I remember life before electricity, imagine that. I was 9 when electricity came to our village in the little village of Cullehill in County Laois. I remember the excitement with the poles going up and you know, the light, when we turned on the lights, and then of course we got fridges and freezers. And before that there were no fridges or freezers. You had a safe, not for keeping your diamonds in, but with the perforated zinc sides, and we all knew how to keep food cool and how to preserve it.
Fermentation is also a workout.
I can see
you know, your hands are conditioned, your shoulders are conditioned. You do not leave this jar unless the juice is up over the cabbage.
Okay.
Gym membership.
There you go. Can you see
That's
that?
coming up.
Sometimes you have to kind of change the weight, but I think this is perfect.
So you have a little jam jar there, and it's
Yeah.
full of water. And that's just for a bit of extra weight, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Good, good,
Pack,
good.
pack. Right up.
What kind of cabbage did you use for this one?
It's a hispy cabbage, actually. Sometimes people call it, it's an early spring, early summer cabbage. It's got a pointed nose. Years ago, I think people used to call it greyhound cabbage.
And then you click it in. That's one thing as well. Do not spare money on your glass jars. Buy good quality jars. It's really important. There we go.
Well done.
See?
Oh, look at all the juice now. Toby, can you see that? Yeah.
The beautiful
Good,
colour.
good, good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Now, so
And-
how long do we leave this now before we can eat it?
About 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Take it after 10 days.
And
but
how would
again,
we know? Those of us who
in-
don't know, how would we know?
In your kitchen, it depends on the temperature. Again, you're watching the liquid.
Yeah.
Liquid goes up, liquid will start coming down.
Yeah.
You
So-
don't want it, if you had like dry sauerkraut, you would discard that.
I see.
You want everything under the brine.
Right, okay, so sauerkraut, so this was made on the 11th of June. Right, okay?
Yeah.
And then this is juice from another one.
Yeah.
Good, fantastic.
And always
Now, any
keep the juice.
questions, John, on this?
No, it looks lovely.
Fascinating, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that
It really
just
is alchemy,
fascinating.
and it's
yeah.
a really good way of, feeding people nutritious food on a very low budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I really think fermented foods should really be pushed,
It's one thing I have started
wash my
making
hands.
since I started studying this was the fermented foods. I'm a bit more comfortable with them than I would be at making some of the other dishes.
No, oh no, it's not too hot now, actually. I need a lovely big bowl for this now.
Cool it first, if that's okay.
Yeah, lovely. So now this is really lovely. You can hear it's kind of
Yeah,
crunchy and everything, so you can just scrape it off like that. So Pat's going to cool it for a little bit, then we'll put it into, look, shall I put it in there?
Put it in now? Yeah, I have the other tray cooling behind.
Yeah. And then we'll wait until it cools, and then we'll add all those the nuts and the dried apricots and the dates and the wheat germ and all of that into it.
So you can hear how crispy it is. This is
Yeah.
how crispy it is. This is how it should be crispy. Otherwise, like we were saying earlier, it won't last as long. And it's soggy.
So this again, Pat, we keep this in a Kilner jar as well. Yeah. There we go. So we'll let that cool a little bit, and we'll put it into it then. Okay. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit. You see, look, the egg. When if I have a fork, and here I just take. Just if you have a fork there, I just want to show you the egg whites, beautifully cooked, Pat. Thank you very much. So the white is just set, and then the yolks are lovely and sort of a little bit soft skinned. So just sprinkle a little bit of feta cheese over the top if you don't have feta. And this is Irish made feta, by the way.
Yes.
Not made on the farm here, although we have made feta. Now, there we go. And that's sort of slightly salty cheese, lovely and crumbly. I'll take, here's the thing, that's lovely. Now, and then we can sprinkle a few lovely fresh coriander leaves on top. Now, coriander is the most widely used herb in the world, even more widely used than parsley. Look, there's lovely little coriander flower as well. Fantastic. So there we are. So that's the shakshuka. So we better hurry up and make something else, and then we can have that later. So there's another wonderful fermented food which is called miso, and it's made from soya beans. And actually, we haven't made this here. This is a work in progress. We bought the miso, actually, the white miso, but actually, you can make it. Have you ever made miso or not?
No.
Made from soya beans, fermented, incredibly good.
Yeah, I've tasted it, but no, I've never been brave enough. You need some koji,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, so here we are, mackerel. We're right beside the sea here, very close to Ballycotton, and at this time of the year, we're always waiting for the first of the lovely summer mackerel to come in. So now, so the ingredients for the marinade here are a couple of tablespoons of white miso. There's red miso as well. Which one do you like best, Maria, or do you use both of them?
The one I use at home is the black miso.
A black one? Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah, red, brown, white, or black.
Yeah.
Sometimes called.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used the black miso. And then a half tablespoon of honey. Is that in here? Yeah. Yeah. And then a little sesame oil. Now, when you the sesame oil for this, you want it's like the Chinese sesame oil that has really tastes of sesame, and a teaspoon of soy sauce. So that's all in here, Pat, is it?
In the bowl, yeah.
Now, I have to marinate this for a while.
You just
so
brush it on for,
yeah.
you can leave it for 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to either, I'll give you that for a second. So we're going to brush this on, and then you could leave it for, this is incredible how it enhances the flavour of the mackerel. I don't know, I think mackerel or tuna are the best with this on it. You can put it on other fish as well, but actually it's particularly good with this sort of slightly oily mackerel.
Lovely on pollock as well,
Yeah.
actually. I've had it with
Oh,
pollock.
is it? Yeah. And mackerel are, usually very inexpensive, and they are also very important. They're a sustainable fish. They're not, certainly in our waters, they are not overfished. So that's why we chose the mackerel there. Now, we'll put that aside for a few minutes, and then let's go on to our next dish. Well, I could, or else let Maria go straight on to something else then, please.
Yeah.
I think we'll do the water kefir while I'm waiting for, just let the, yeah. Now. Now some water for that, please. Now. Oh, this is where the magic really starts. Okay. So, what is water kefir?
Oh yeah.
Now,
Apart from magic, what is it?
yeah, absolutely.
You know about water kefir, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but many
Yeah.
people who are watching don't know anything about
I
it.
know
So,
something about it.
yeah, so yeah, absolutely.
So it's a SCOBY basically of bacteria and yeast.
And now, what is a SCOBY, darling?
A symbiotic community of bacteria and yeast. And
That's what SCOBY stands for.
Yeah.
Good.
so the main bacteria that gives it that kind of gel-like is Lactobacillus hilgardi, which gives it that kind of
Are
gel.
you not impressed, John?
That's-
That
yeah.
big
I'm a
scientific word.
microbe enthusiast.
Okay.
But it's
You're a microbe nerd, actually.
It's
you really are.
it's a gateway ferment, and it's very easy to make. You can make it in like 2-3 days. Every student that comes here, we teach them how to make it.
So it's a drink.
It's a drink, yeah. It's a fizzy drink. This is the first ferment, and then there's the second ferment. You don't have to second ferment, but second fermentation can build carbon and will build fizz.
Whoops.
Yes, like that.
Yeah, they can be explosive. The strong
And
bottles come into.
It's very dependent as well on the
Well,
temperature.
look, you see the
Today's
bubbles, it's like champagne.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very good for people as well who like, mainstream fizzy drinks.
Yeah.
This is a really good transition because you're getting the fizz.
So you can drop the CC and all the other things.
Exactly.
And have this. Now, but tell us from scratch. You start off the water.
How do I make it? I'm going to decant this first.
Yeah.
So this is ready. You can see there's
No,
bubbles.
but you have to start at the beginning, sweetie, because I
Yeah.
don't know how you start at the
Yeah, I'm
beginning.
just going to get
Yeah.
a jug. Actually, a bigger jug. So this is ready, and you use the grains over and over again, basically. So this has been fermenting for 3 days. It's quite fizzy. You can tell by the smell of it, by the look of it.
So what's in there, Maria?
There is grains, sugar water, dried fruit, and lime. So we're working backwards, basically. This is the finished product. We're going to decant it, put it into a bottle, second ferment it, and we're going to make a new batch. Yeah?
So we're starting in the middle and we're going backwards.
Yeah, we're literally starting at the end, and yeah.
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 So in other
So I'm going to
words,
decant it.
you can start a fresh batch from the last
Yeah,
batch.
the grains are continually growing, and
Are they dried apricots in there?
yeah, they are. Once your grains are happy and everything is, they get used to your house and everything, they'll start multiplying. So you'll end up with like having to give your neighbour grains, and that's what I love about fermentation. It really is like a community practice.
Yeah.
And
So you share the grains, pass them on to somebody else.
exactly, yeah. So you pour it all in here. You keep all the dried fruit. The dried fruit always has a second life. Now, we say to people, I'm just going to use another jug actually. I'll explain all this in a second. So we're decanting. There's your lovely grains. The grains go back into the jar, yeah?
Yep.
So we're starting a new batch now. The grains, and you don't mind that that's a wire sieve. It doesn't have to be wire sieve is fine.
Well, a lot of people say that you don't use like a metal sieve, but it's so quick.
Right.
That, you know, I'm just going to grab the bottle that I need up here as well.
Oh wow.
So these are all the herbs I picked today. So my liquid goes into the bottle.
The glass bottles. There we go. And it would definitely be glass, Maria, would it not? This wouldn't be plastic.
We always use glass, and it's always, I'll explain that in a minute, we'll burn them. So in here we put our grains, or the sugar water, sorry.
A couple of slices of...
So it's equal grains to sugar. I had this weighed before. So you always mix the water. I don't have the water.
Water.
Yeah, sure.
So you always dissolve your sugar and your water in the jug
Measure.
first, and then add that to your grains. You wouldn't put sugar straight in.
Oh, because it needs to be dissolved first, is that it?
Exactly, yeah. Just grab a spoon.
Good.
There.
You need more? Or
I need another one, yeah.
Yeah.
So give it a good stir.
And we'll give you all these recipes, won't we, Maria?
So we, yeah,
all
we
your
will.
secrets.
So we always use organic sugar. You see other recipes, they use syrups and stuff, but we always just use organic sugars. You put the sugar water on top of the grain, and then the grain will convert the sugar. So there isn't that much sugar left in it. Like, the sugar is for the grains, you know. Some people panic and say, oh, is there too much sugar? That is the life force of the grain. So without the sugar, you can't make...
Yeah. A lot of people do ask, with this and kombucha, the amount of sugar you put in at the start, they have a fear that they're going to end up consuming that amount of sugar.
Yeah, no, it's fermented out, yeah.
So you put your sugar water back on your grains. And into here, you put a slice of lemon, or 2 slices.
And again, we're looking for unwaxed lemons or organic lemons.
Exactly. Why we put the lemons in, we want to tip the acidity, so we're going to send it, but it's also for taste. And inside here as well, we put some dried fruit. The dried fruit is for extra nutrition. Now, I just want to show you one thing. You can use, like, you know, dried apricots or dates. I quite like to use the apricots. They're a little bit more expensive, but you see here the dates get pulverized, so they're kind of hard to use again. But the apricots you can use again.
Ah.
You know?
Now, are these the Hansa apricots? Are they the same ones as those?
The same, yeah.
Yeah. So
I would reuse these again,
Would you?
just for the thing now, I'm just going to put the new ones in. So
Yeah,
you put your
okay.
2 bits of fruit
How
in.
many times could you reuse those?
Twice.
Twice.
And then how I would use them again, if you're at home and you have this, I would blitz it and put it into my porridge or put it into my smoothie to give it extra life. In the fermentation shed, because we have literally like a water kefir farm, we have so much that I store it.
Our students here on the 12 on all of our courses actually drink water kefir every day.
Yeah.
And every day it's a sort of slightly different flavour.
Yeah.
And they really think they notice a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't have enough, but they're saying, well, where's the water kefir? Where's Maria? Where's Maria? We want more water kefir.
So I would collect these over like 4 days, and on a Friday I would make like probiotic dehydrated crackers, and people absolutely love them.
I think I've tried them before.
Yeah,
They're delicious.
absolutely delicious. So we're really trying to have zero waste in the shed. Like, it's an amazing way of using up the fruit.
Very sustainable.
So you're always just trying to give everything another life. This is my bottle. So as I said, you can have it like this, or you can second ferment it. And this is what I mean by second ferment. So I'm just going to show you here.
Are you finished this?
I am, yeah.
Do you ferment that with the jar closed in the first ferment?
Yeah. You could have the jar closed or open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I picked a load. I walked around the garden and I picked. So basically, you can have like a summer floral delight, and like you can use up these in your second ferment if you'd like, because it's nice to have a sugar source if you want it to be fizzy. So just pop these in. 2 is probably enough for that bottle, and then you can literally, you can just pack your bottle and just make it look absolutely beautiful.
Do you know, Maria, that that's the Ballymaloe rose? It's the sweet Ballymaloe that was actually named
Divine.
for my mother-in-law when she was head of Eurotug. Now we better tell what's there. So you have pansies, rose,
clover, bramble, calendula, daisy, herb Robert.
Well done.
Dandelion, borage. It really is like a summer festival in here.
Oh look, let's put some elderflower in because it's
And
elderflower
elders on.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you literally, there's a nettle top in there,
Wow.
and you
Oh my
basically
goodness.
pop it in.
It looks so beautiful.
It looks
Yes.
absolutely divine.
Yeah.
It's really, you're making artwork.
Yeah. So how long before we can drink this, Maria?
Usually, if I put this on a counter, you're aiming to drink it tomorrow. You know, it's going to be quite fizzy. As I said, it's quite warm now
So that
as
was
well.
made yesterday.
Yeah, that's why it's
and
so
also you want to
fizzy.
have it chilled, don't you? You want to serve it chilled too.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll shoot up into the air. Isn't that right?
But like if you're giving this as a present, you know, you could put the sweet in and get it fizzy, but put the flowers in like 2-3 hours before you're going to give the present. As well, you can put it into the fridge and actually slow it down. So if you made this bottle, put it into the fridge, 2-3 days later, you can drink it.
I was going to ask, so putting it in the fridge, it won't explode. That happens to me a lot, and like half the...
It will still explode, but it'll be slower than out in your
Right.
you
your
can
countertop.
you can have it very chilled and then open it, just open it a little bit.
I've had to do
like
that, yeah. I've gotten good
exactly.
at that.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying have it somewhere where you pass regularly in the kitchen.
So
you
you
don't
can- yeah.
forget about it. When you have your jars, what I was saying to buy good quality ones, the kilners have the seal and they release the carbon dioxide, where in the bottles it's trapped, so
Yeah.
that's why you have to burp it.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like this really is like champagne now.
Because it's been sitting out for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in other words, am I understanding that it would be better to make it in a Kilner jar actually?
Oh yeah, I
right.
would, yeah.
Yeah, well done, that's a very important point.
But one of the interesting facts I was reading, maybe you know more about this, is that it produces the amino acid tryptophan, which then makes serotonin.
No, say that again? It produces?
The amino acid tryptophan,
Yeah.
which then makes serotonin, which gives us
which
that.
makes you feel all bubbly and
Yeah.
excited and good. That's
Like
great.
90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Water kefir is actually something that my boss, Professor Paul Cotter, he's been studying these fermented foods a lot longer than me. But water kefir is now getting quite a lot of attention because it is, like many of the fermented foods, we don't know enough about them yet and the wonderful benefits they can have for us.
And the thing about it is, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's delicious.
You know,
These look even
everybody
nicer,
enjoys this,
Yeah.
and as well, you know, you can have it as a mixer for your alcohol, or you know, even like simple, you know, incorporations into your diet would make such a difference.
Yeah.
And like, it's just beautiful.
And I also, all of our grandchildren absolutely love this. And for me, apart from all the other attributes you've said, one of the fantastic things is that children who might normally be drinking fizzy drinks and so on, they can have this, it's a fizzy drink, and it's super good for them. And they absolutely love it. They don't miss all the other bits and pieces, absolutely. So well done, that's fantastic. So hopefully you'll all decide that you can make that and have fun. And you add different things to it every day.
Every day,
Yeah, and so on. So,
They look delicious.
so let's, I'm going to,
So as
shall
I
I
was
put
saying,
this
like
to the
grated
side?
beetroot, carrot peel, you're really trying to use up what you have.
Yeah.
And when you're putting flowers, make sure and put a sugar source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you reach in there and
Would you
get
put
those?
extra sugar in when you do the second ferment? If you
I
do,
never do, no.
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 Now, back to the granola. Listen to that, lovely and crunchy. And now we're literally just going to add all of these nuts and diced apricots. Also, we have some dates there as well, measured dates. And how beautiful is that? So I'm just going to put it into this lovely bowl that Pat has given me. Oops-a-daisy. And then this, of course, you can store it in sealed Kilner jars for several weeks on end. Sorry, I've put it all over the counter. Here, no, we'll get it off the counter. We'll give it to the hens. That little bit, they'll love it. There we go. All those little bits. That'll come back as granola eggs tomorrow. Good. And then, of course, here with this is a huge bowl, Pat, but I suppose I can do it. We can then, of course, put a lovely big dollop of yogurt on it, and also some, lovely fruit, etc., etc. What have you got?
Got some raw milk as well.
Oh yes, if you're, so if you're putting milk with it, of course, we would, this is lovely raw milk from our very small Jersey herd here. We only have, how many cows have we milking at the moment, Maria?
8.
8 cows. How many calves have we?
We have a lot actually.
10. The students absolutely love the calves as well. So we'll put a dollop of yogurt, and I'll put a lovely little drizzle of honey. And look, these are some strawberries. And and again, I could hardly bear to say it, but these are our own strawberries too. Serious. May I have a little knife if I could, please? I'll just put and I'll take some lovely fresh mint if you have it. Look, we put this is keep us going until lunchtime tomorrow.
Really,
Yeah,
gorgeous.
so we'll put, there we go. And I don't want to cut the top off them. I hate to waste any little bit of the strawberries. These are lovely and ripe. And we had some rain the other night, so they've swelled again, which is really nice. No raspberries yet, they're not quite seasoned. But what I was picking today actually, but you couldn't put them in raw, I was picking some gooseberries. We've got a fantastic crop of gooseberries. So look, just sprinkle on, look at that, a little honey, if you feel like it. And then, of course, some lovely fresh mint leaves or whatever would be lovely over that as well, or shredded mint leaves. How about that? Are you feeling hungry, John?
Starving.
You're starving. Well, hang on another little minute. So look, so that's that one there. We'll put that to the side. Next, I'll take a nice little bowl of porridge. Oh no, I better get, something, I better get that mackerel on. Yep. Should we put some mackerel on?
We can put this on to cook and then we can do the porridge.
Yes,
You want to do that?
now we do the porridge. Okay, so a little bit of oil for this, now I'm just turning the heat up under a pan grill again. This would be fantastic, of course, for a barbecue as well. I'll do olive oil. No, I'll just do like that. Okay, just give me the recipe again for a second. Now, thank you very much. So it can your mackerel can sit for 15 minutes or whatever, or if you're in a hurry, you can just pretty much brush on the little miso marinade and cook it almost right away. So heat a pan grill over a medium heat, wipe excess marinade from the fish, drizzle with olive oil, cook skin side down for 2 minutes approximately. And actually I find quite often, although I say in the recipe there to flip it over, actually a lot of the time you scarcely need to flip it over, You can, where's my, give me that olive oil for a little second there. Thanks, Maria. I'm just going to have some on the thing, but I'm going to, which, it's on, yeah, the jet's on under that one there. So, now, so we'll just take.
This might be a silly question. Does that work just the same on a frying pan?
It would, and that's not a silly question. It would work pretty much the same on a frying pan, but this has the ridges, so you get the nice sort of charring and everything. And actually, I really think these are worth the money. They're lovely for a steak or a lamb chop or something either. So look, we put that. Now, there, I think I'll just do that. Well, have I room for the fourth one? I haven't right now. I don't want to. Oh yeah, here, I'll push it over a little bit. There we are. These are quite big mackerel, these ones. Now, give me that, Maria. I'll keep an eye on these. And so, now Pat, the porridge next. And honey, and a nice bowl to pop it into. No. Oh, look, Pat, I can use this one here.
Use that one? Okay.
Yeah, lovely. And just give me a little cloth for a second.
Do you want to, Maria, you've made some lovely kefir fermented cream. Do you want to talk about that? Or are you going with regular cream, which works?
So you talk about your fermented cream, because that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Will I do the milk kefir?
Please do.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And then we're nearly finished. Good.
Understanding that milk kefir is the most powerful of them all.
It's probably got the most research, yeah.
It tastes very intense, like it's a very tangy, tart taste.
It'd be one of my favourites, but I think it's probably just because I'm so used to it. It's one of the ones I drink every day. And as you were saying,
The
like
amount of cream, that's the raw milk, so that's literally that much cream.
The Jersey milk.
The Jersey
Very,
milk, yeah.
very rich, yeah.
So I'm just gonna, if I can just grab a spoon actually, with the spoon.
What has to be
Yeah. I'm actually just going to. So this is pretty much a set mass now. So what I'm going to do is tip it out. I'm going to find my grains. My grains are inside there.
So when did you start this, Maria?
This was done about a week ago. Right. See? Now the recipe is to have a glass. You can mix in like some honey or some spices with it. But the thing about milk kefir is, the nice thing about it is you can actually sneak it into other recipes. You know, you could put it into your smoothies. You could put a bit in.
Bread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You could, you know, you could ferment your porridge oats, soaking them overnight. So, you know, because the taste is quite intense. Like I like to make the milk kefir and then blend it like with a little bit of cacao, a little bit of dates.
I had to do that for my daughter because she wouldn't drink it.
Yeah.
So I disguised it as chocolate milk.
So literally you're just sieving this through. I'm trying to find my grains. It's like potluck. Where are the grains? Might actually get another sieve as well.
Shall I give you a smaller little spoon? Would that be easier for you?
I might change my sieve. So I was like, again, the microbe nerd here, but I was reading up that there's over like 30 different bacteria species in milk kefir.
Yeah, it changes from batch to batch, but it is
Yeah.
quite
I
diverse.
think it can be even more, can't
Yeah.
it, sometimes?
Yeah, again,
Did you
Paul.
do some research on this, or Paul did?
Yeah, well, I've done a little bit, but Paul has done an awful lot more with previous students and
Yeah.
current
Yeah.
students. It's one of the best studied fermented foods in terms of the health benefits, and it's really promising in a lot of aspects, especially when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah, milk kefir gets a lot of attention from
Yeah.
science at the moment.
The
But
macro-
yeah, as you were saying, it is quite diverse in terms of number of bacteria that you find in it.
But it's just getting used to the taste, that's the only thing, isn't it? But again, you do get used to it, like that's the beauty of it.
I had a harder time, I think, getting used to maybe sauerkraut and kimchi. They're strong flavours. I think I just always love milk and any form of milk.
I'm going to grab another jug there, Tom.
You want? I get you a jug.
Yeah.
Oh, would you get a bowl? Would you get a bowl? Wouldn't it be easier?
I'm going to pour this into a glass and I'm going to sieve out to try and find my grains.
Pour it into a glass.
So you can add in some flavours like.
Do you want to get a glass off the window there, Paul? Yeah.
You could add in like half teaspoon of honey. You could serve it like that. Are you going to be the? Do you want to drink the glass of milk of yourself?
Yeah.
So if you want to dress that up, you put
What
some
do you-
honey or.
Oh, lovely. Okay, shall I put some?
Again, whatever, the recipe is honey and spices, so if you want to put
Okay,
honey or
so-
cinnamon or...
This would be your
Can
least
I
favourite
find
in
my
terms of
honey?
taste.
Sorry?
Would it be your least favourite in terms of taste?
Well, I'm just thinking for other people, I'm used to it.
Yes, you
So,
like it.
Yeah. And as I said, like, I sneak it into my smoothies, so
Yeah. The smoothies is a great idea as well. I've done that.
yeah. I'm like, where are my grains? They're in there somewhere.
They're dissolved.
Now, thank you. And a little cinnamon if you have it.
Ground.
Can I get another
Yeah,
sieve,
ground
actually?
cinnamon, yeah. So this is Penny, my daughter No Penny Allen. This is her recipe, isn't it? So
Fermentation queen.
the fermentation queen, exactly. So I'm just going to drizzle a little honey in. You can add a little more if you like, and we'll put maybe a little cinnamon on top.
Oh, I think that's all green. It's exciting.
Oh, you found it?
It is, yeah.
What
And
is
again,
this,
like
Pat?
you put your grains in, you cover them with milk. The grains convert the lactose to lactic acid. And for people who are lactose intolerant, milk kefir, the fermentation process, it converts the casein and the lactose, so it makes it more, well, you obviously, you'll have a fancier way of saying this, but...
Yeah, well, as you said, I mean, and that's the whole process of fermentation can make an awful lot of food more digestible, and in the case of dairy and yogurt, yeah, the lactic acid, or the lactose can be consumed, but it depends on how long you ferment it, obviously, but it does make it more tolerable for people with those kind of intolerances.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And Minko's plate pasta, you have it?
Oh, there you go, there's the grain. So you have two options. You can use milk or you can use coconut milk if you wanted. But really, so if you were making coconut milk kefir, you can only make a few batches. Like it has to go back to milk.
Once a week, roughly, isn't it?
Well,
Change it
every
again.
3 batches, really.
You go, okay.
And the coconut one is, it's a little bit nicer for people as well. What I found as well, people who are used to drinking raw milk, and say they move somewhere where they don't have access to raw milk, they would put milk kefir grains into their pasteurized milk.
To give it some flavour.
Yeah,
Or to give
which
it
is
more
just,
flavour. Yeah.
it's such a lovely way of, so there we go, there's the grains. Now I'm just going to give my jar a quick clean. I'm going to pop the grains back in. So your grains go back in, yeah, and you cover them with milk, and away you go. So they will, again, like water kefir, they will double, they'll increase.
And do you have to wash them?
No,
And do you know,
never
Maria,
wash them.
I always thought you weren't meant to put metal near them.
If it's very quick. I'm not leaving it there for a long time. People always say that, but I just...
But you haven't noticed any difference, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just going to cover it with the raw milk.
Okay.
And again, lid on, lid off, put yourself. Yeah?
Now, here's the porridge. Just the macroom oatmeal porridge. You could look at that cream, my God. Beautiful Jersey cream. And this is the fermented cream that you had to just, but it could be milk, or certainly we would have lovely raw milk as well.
So that's farm cream, and I put a tablespoon of milk kefir in it and left it for 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're seeding it with the kefir cultures to ferment it up. That's nice.
Yeah. That's how our butter is made as well.
Okay.
And you can put, of course, you can put anything you want to onto porridge. I usually use that soft dark brown sugar and cream. We're talking about gut biome and using the local foods and all of that. So I'm putting in some lovely local honey in there. Look, I'm going to put some of these. Pat's given me all kinds of lovely nuts and all kinds of funny things here to go on top. And sure, why don't we put one big measure date on top of it? There we go. And nuts, again, incredibly important. Actually, almonds. I think you're going to put some almonds here with this is the yogurt, and Pat has put some honey, some almonds, which are particularly nutritious and good for your gut biome, and there are also some dates. Are you impressed?
Yeah, I'm getting really hungry.
You're getting very hungry. Well, we better hurry up.
So,
yeah, good. Now, so I'm going to lift this, some little pieces, onto a plate here. Oh, how delicious is that? Just the lovely little flaky bits coming off. Super. Now, and the miso hugely enhances the flavour. So, and look how lovely and soft it is. Beautiful. I better, yeah. Well, you said you were hungry, so there we are. Good. Lovely. Now, I'll just take why don't I take a little bit of coriander? That would be the herb of choice in Asia. Oh yes, and Pat is impressing me even more here with some there's some coriander flowers, the little flowers of coriander, which you can also use as well. How lovely does that. Now you wouldn't, where is she gone? Oh yeah, sorry. You wouldn't eat your sauerkraut with that actually, not the miso. You'd leave it and have it with a little salad or something like that. Yep. Now, where I think we've come more or less to the end of what we're going to, we were supposed to do this in an hour or something, an hour and a half, but anyway, it'll be edited down a little bit. So I hope that all of you will try some of these things, and that everybody will, in a way, what we want people to really be aware of the importance of 3 times a day you can make a difference to not only to the environment, but to your gut biome as well. And every single decision you make about what you're going to feed yourself and your family is going to impact amazingly on both their physical and their mental health. So try to have as much variety in your diet as possible, and indeed for your children, and particularly for children who are at school or at university, make sure they have plenty of variety in their diet. And the more variety you have in your diet, the more diverse your gut microbiome. Am I right in that, John?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the display here, there's quite a lot of different kind of foods and fibres. It's exactly what you need for a microbiome brunch.
Really good. Maria, what else have you to say? Yes.
I just want to say one thing. If you're new to fermentation and this has been your introduction, I'd like to say that there is an amazing fermentation class on the Valley Blue Cookery School membership. Fabulous class by Penny. So if you want to learn more, it's welcome to the journey, because it really is, it's never ending. And then, you know, combining your herbs with it, like it's really amazing. I'd like to.
I did it 4 years ago. That's when I started studying, because I hadn't a clue how to make any of these foods, as you can probably tell. I did it down here 4 years ago. I think it was Emer at the time.
Yeah.
Yes, Emer Fitzgerald.
And that's what got me started making.
It really is life changing.
Yeah.
Because like we have the fermentation course and the foraging course. I really like that people should do both courses, combine them together.
I gotta put you on commission.
But really, it really is life changing, and then you're actually spending less on your ingredients because you know how to forage and you know how to, like, it's
for more nutrients.
Exactly, and like the more fermenting and the more foraging you do, the more energy you have to do more. Like, you know, it's all of the one thing.
Yeah. And finally, before we finish, the other thing that of course is brilliant, anything preferably organic. It doesn't have to be more expensive, and so on. And also these lovely Irish farmhouse cheeses that we have. Blue cheese particularly good. And don't forget to eat the rind and everything as well. Now, don't eat any of that plastic coat stuff that some of the cheeses are dipped in. It's the natural rind, fantastic, really good. Lots of diversity on the rind. But this little dote, actually, it's a little camembert. And actually, this is made here down in the micro dairy by Tim and Maria, and in fact, sometimes, and also the students learn how to make it. And so look, this is a little camembert. A little Ballymaloo Cookery School camembert. Look at that, and you're not impressed. Look, it's not just beautiful. Actually, I should have asked before I came in how many weeks. I think this is about 4 weeks now old. But that's absolutely, and of course you can eat the rind there, and that's the candidum, lovely mold on the outside of it. And that's actually a fig leaf, which, by the way, is also edible if you're hungry enough. We use it to flavour ice creams and all sorts of things as well. So this is just a little taste. And John, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this. Thank you, Maria. Huge thank you to Pat. Yay! Well done, Pat. Thank you for getting everything ready. And look at this lovely, this is not just local honey, but a honeycomb. How about that? Is that not properly impressive? There we are. Good. Well, thank you very, very much to both of you, and thank you to Toby, who is behind the camera this evening. Thank you very much, and happy World Microbiome Day. And spread the word and raise awareness, and thank you for joining us this evening.